Welcome back, everybody. This is a slightly different video than the norm. We're going to be taking a look at one of these Ampeg V4 speaker cabinets. I'll show you what's going on the back, but we're going to be changing out the plug. These guys use a 4-pin kind of socket that then goes to just your normal mono cable for the speaker output. This guy wants to just use a normal speaker cable. He's got two of these. So we're going to be changing them out, but I'll show you on the back how to figure out how to do this, how to test to make sure that the polarity is correct, because he does have two of these speaker cabinets, so we want to make sure they're in phase with each other. Let's take a look at the back real quick. Okay, so here's our back panel. You can see there's a 4-pin socket there. I'm not going to be able to show you the actual measurements since I have to hold the camera. I'm not set up for a tripod in this area. But the speaker is connected to the outer two. And I just set my voltmeter to ohms and measured between those 2 points. This is an 8-ohm cabinet. I measured about 6.4 ohms. You'll measure something slightly below 8. If it were 16, you might measure like 12 ohms. If it was 4 ohm, you might measure like 2.6 or something like that. These two connectors at the bottom are not connected to anything. These guys on the outer points are what are your ground and your signal. And then I, at that point, just did a continuity test between, I put a little wire in one side of those and then measured to the tip and to the shield to see which one is signal, which is the tip, and which is ground, which is the point here. And going to try to be consistent between the two, and then we'll pop the front cover off these cabinets, and I'll show you a trick for making sure that the speakers are all in phase with each other. And just 1 second here, and I'll grab the jack and show you what we're going to be installing there. Okay, so in case you're not familiar, there's a website called Flip Tops. They are kind of the go-to source for Ampegs of this era. And they sell these different base plates. These are like $1.50 each. I'm going to be able to just pull this guy, remove the wiring, install this with a mono or stereo jack. I actually like to use a stereo jack. As long as you wire the other two connections together, they actually tend to hold cables a little bit more firm. And then I'm going to throw a little Loctite on here since I don't have locking washers on hand to make sure this thing doesn't come loose anytime soon. And I will do that off screen and then show you the final result. All right, so I've removed the 3 screws from this guy to get the face plate out. You can see there's actually 2 wires going to each of these sides from the pairs of speakers. This side is the signal. This side will be the ground. I'm going to just desolder that, solder it to our new jack, and then install that new jack on the plate. I'm going to do these one at a time so that the wires don't fall in to the cabinet or something. These are front-loaded cabinets. So if it does fall in, I'll have to take a speaker out, which won't be fun. So we've got the new jack soldered in place. You can see I pulled the old heat shrink that was on these cables. It's kind of nice. These are, at least on this one, braided together so the wires aren't going to fall into the hole here, which was cool. But this new jack just barely fits in that space. And not only that, but does not at all fit this guy. When I had it on here, basically was sitting out, what would that be? About half a centimeter, which that's not acceptable. So was left with a couple options. Also, can see that heat shrink on the cables here so we don't get any kind of shorts. We want this to be reliable. We want this to be something that no one ever has to open up again if they don't want to. But yeah, so either could have used this plate, but that would have required making this hole about, I think I measured this guy to be, let's see. Yeah, so making about a 1-inch hole, or for our friends across the pond, well, 2.54 centimeters is an inch. So something right around there. Which, you know, that could have been done with a stepper bit. I actually went and got a stepper drill bit to do just that. But I also picked up these giant washers and drilled a couple mounting holes here for the screws that were originally here. And I think we're going to proceed this way. Have a decent mounting plate. I've got a washer on the back, washer on the front, and then a nut. I'm going to put 2 nuts on here to help lock it down. And I'm also going to use some thread lock just so that this thing's nice and sturdy. I was hoping to have a situation where the jack didn't stick out at all. It is going to end up sticking out just a tiny bit, just like that much from the back of the cab. But I think that'll be okay. I think that'll be acceptable. So yeah, real quick, I'll also show you how to double check that things are all in phase and that the speakers are working well. All right, so this will be a little bit hard for me to do all at once while holding the camera, but I've got just a normal patch cable here and then 9-volt battery, and we're going to touch the terminals to the ground. And you can hear that pop. And then while doing that, we're going to make sure all the speakers move in the same direction. It's a little hard to see. A little hard to see from just the camera, but you can definitely tell in person. And you want to make sure that all the speakers are moving and that they're all moving in the same direction. If that's the case, they're all in phase. If you're comparing 2 cabs, you would want the same arrangement of either positive or negative going to the tip of the cable. And yeah, that's going to be about it. So I'm going to put some thread lock on here, tie this all up, and then get into the next one. But it looks like the speaker cab is basically done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one with another amp repair.